Shortly though, it was time to embark on the first of our 2 bites at the Wild Atlantic Way for this trip. This time we started at the southern starting point in Kinsale and travelled along the southern coast as far as Skibbereen, where we overnighted. Then we deferred the Mizzen Head area and jumped to another part of the way by driving direct to Kenmare and going another leg out to Cahersiveen, where we overnighted the second night. Finally, on the 3rd day, Niall took advantage of a cancellation to go to Skellig Michael, after which nothing more could be absorbed, and we returned via Killorglin to Cork. Shortly we were looking at the old head of Kinsale, 11 miles from where the Lusitania lies.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
Hi fellas, how's it going? The Drumbag Stone Circle is part of a 24-kilometre triad of stone circles and follows a seasonal chart of the sun and moon movements. Its design is traceable to the Babylonian water clock, in which the sun crosses its own diameter 720 times from sunrise to sunrise.
For the hearts that never played in tune, like a lovely melody.
I should mention, by the way, that the Conways had a very rough night at anchor in Glandore in 1984. Quack quack.
And Aubrey was her name. We tripped the light and danced together to the moon. But where was June? No, it never came around. If it did, it never made a sound. Maybe I was absent or was listening too fast.
So that night we checked into the West Cork Hotel in Skibbereen, which had an interesting bridge attached over the River Illan, and had a great meal in the hotel that night.
God, I miss the girl.
The following morning we had a quick look around the town, where incidentally they were celebrating the silver medals won in rowing by some local lads at the Olympics. Finally, a quick look at the Heritage Centre, and we were on the road to Bantry.
And Aubrey was her name. I never knew her, but I loved her just the same. I loved her name. Wish that I had found a way, and the reasons that would would make her stay. I have learned to leave life from all the rest. I can't have the one I want, I'll do without the best. How I miss the girl, and I'd go a million times around the world just to say she had.
There's an artisan bakery there.
Yeah, oh sure, this place is loaded.
Well, I didn't get a chance to focus.
Perhaps it's time for a quick reminder of where we were. We were travelling along the southern coast of the Ring of Kerry towards Derrynane. Derrynane House is the home of one of the most significant figures in Irish history, Daniel O'Connell, who achieved Catholic emancipation in 1829. So now we pushed north up the peninsula to our location for the night, Carasaibi. At Carasaibi, we checked into our quixotic guest house. And then proceeded to fit in a quick visit to two local forts. Then was back to our guest house and an excellent dinner. The following morning we were up bright and early and on the road to Portmagee, where Niall had fortunately got a rare cancellation for a trip to Skellig Michael. There are strict limits on the number of licensed boats allowed to access the island and on the numbers of visitors allowed each day.
Go ahead.
This was the last day of the 2016 season. Skellig Michael is a steep and barren rock 12 kilometres off the coast, and in fact only a few kilometres short of being the westernmost point of Europe. In about 600 AD, Irish monks defied the elements and built a monastery that remained in use until about 1200. The 600 steps to the monastery are one of 3 routes that the monks developed, and which were used by Vikings to carry off the abbot. On the slightly higher south peak there is a hermitage, not accessible to the public as it requires climbing skills. Though the island had no soil, the monks brought some from the mainland and developed a small garden where they cultivated some vegetables and goats to supplement the primarily fish diet.
tall when you're wearing boots. They seem tiny.
Skellig Michael has recently been named one of the top 10 World Heritage Sites and is also featured in the latest Star Wars movies. But all too soon, it was back to the mainland. Skellig Michael was a very memorable experience. Later that day, Margaret and I went up to the Kerry Cliffs near Portmagee and got another vantage on that part of the coast. So now we checked into a great B&B, the Horizon View Lodge on Valentia Island, complete with spectacular water views. Then we took a look at Gyocon Mountain, and ended the day with a lovely sunset meal at the moorings in Portmagee and a pint at the Royal Hotel, the only hotel on Valentia Island. The next morning, after breakfast and fun with the landlord in our B&B and a final look at his art and his view, we headed out to explore some additional offerings on Valentia. First, we walked to the Tetrapod Trackway and saw the 300 million year old, oldest in the world, moulded footprints and tail markings of the lizard-like creature, 1 meter long, which was the first vertebrate to stand on land. At that time, what is now Ireland was below the equator. Then we explored the Valentia Island Lighthouse at Cromwell Point, passing the Glenlom Standing Stone from 2000 BC on the way. Among other things, in the lighthouse we saw the letter of dismissal of Brendan Behan, the noted Irish writer, who apparently was a pain in the neck working in the lighthouses. Next we visited the Slate Quarry, opened in 1816, which employed up to 400 people throughout the famine years and which shipped slate throughout the world, but notably to the roof of the Paris Opera House and the Houses of Parliament in London. The quarry finally closed in 1913 following a massive rock fall. In 1954, a grotto was erected during the Marian year. Next we visited Knightstown, Valentia's principal town, the site of the 1857 completion of the first Atlantic cable connecting Newfoundland to Ireland. Knightstown is the location of a car ferry to Reynard Point on the mainland. Before leaving Valentia, we spent some time in the Skellig Experience Visitor Centre, which had some very interesting history on the Skellig Islands. But now lunch was required, followed by a brief visit to the Daniel O'Connell Museum in the Cahersiveen Heritage Centre. Finally though, sated with County Kerry, it was time to hit the road and return to Conway's, snatching a quick look at Ross Bay Beach on the way.